Donald Trump has survived scandals that would have almost ended any political career. Impeachments, as we all know that, criminal investigations, election battles, years of criticisms from the media constantly. And through all of it, he kept coming back again and again. But history doesn't always remember the biggest battles, trust me. Sometimes the history changes because of something bigger. One mistake that almost nobody notices until it's already too late. And according to the new reports coming from inside the Republican Party, some lawmakers, they believe that Donald Trump could be making exactly that kind of mistake now. Not because of Democrats, not at all. And for sure, not because of the media, but because of millions of ordinary Americans are asking one question every single day. Why is everything still so expensive? Groceries, rent, if you take, as we all know, that gas, energy, housing, insurance, they are just going on the top of the roof. People don't wake up every morning thinking about Washington politics. No, they don't have time for this. Most people wake up wondering how they're going to pay their bills, their daily lives. And according to this report, that's becoming a serious concern for some Republicans heading into the next election. Now, here's the biggest concern. So what exactly is happening behind the screen? Let me break this down. For years, Donald Trump's biggest political advantage wasn't simply that people liked his personality. It wasn't even immigration at all. It wasn't foreign policy. It was totally the economy. Whether someone supported Donald Trump or not, many Americans associated his president with lower inflation, cheaper gasoline, and stronger markets and stronger economy. That's what he promised, and that's what he was trying to do. Now, that image became one of the Trump's greatest political assets, and that gave him power. Now, whenever people struggle financially, many look back and compare today's prices with what they remembered from the previous years. Now, that comparison alone became so powerful in people's mind, like it became super powerful, because in politics, perception often matters a lot, just as much as reality. But now something appears to be changing totally. According to reports from The Hill, several Republican lawmakers are reportedly becoming so concerned that Donald Trump isn't spending enough time talking about what voters care about the most, the economy. The concern isn't necessarily about his policies anymore. It's about his message. Now, those are two different things right here. One is what you plan to do, another is probably what people hear every time you speak. And sometimes messaging wins or loses election. One moment that repeatedly raised concerns come after Donald Trump told reporters that he wasn't thinking about Americans' finances while he was focused on negotiating with how to probably end the conflict involving Iran. Now, his allies argued those comments were taken out of total context. They said he was emphasizing national security. Well, Iran wasn't a threat to America. Some Republicans also reported that worried about how voters would hear those words, because politics often isn't about what someone intended to say. It's all about what millions of people believe they heard from him. At once, an impression forms, and it can be so difficult to change on the other side. Think about it. From the perspective of an ordinary family I'm talking about. You go to the grocery stores, everything costs more than it used to, right? As you remember the cheaper price, now everything is expensive. Your rent has increased. Your mortgage has just gone higher. Insurance is more expensive. Health is just going down, and you fill up your car and it feels painful. At that moment, you're probably not thinking about the strategy in Washington. You're thinking about your own household budgets, because that's the biggest stress to live. Now, that's why some Republican lawmakers reportedly believe economic messaging should remain the party's top priority. Now, they are pushing on that, but the article also references polling suggesting that many Americans remain pessimistic about the economy. Whether those numbers improve or worsen over the time, the broader political point is very straightforward and very clear. When people feel financially so squeezed, they often hold elected leaders accountable. For now, they want to do it to Donald Trump. That pattern isn't unique to one party. It has happened to Democrats. It has happened to Republicans. And that was one of the most common things. History also shows that economic frustration can reshape the entire election. Now, here's the dangerous part. Several Republicans figure quoted in the report argued that Donald Trump needs to communicate more empathy about raising costs. One lawmaker reportedly reflected on his own experiences with rising gas prices decades ago, making the point that voters want leader to acknowledge that what they are going through. That may sound super simple, but in politics, empathy can matter almost as much as policy. People want to believe their leader understands everyday struggle in their normal lives. If they don't feel heard, frustration can grow, even if they support many of the same policies. Now, another issue raised in the reports is so focused. Some Republican lawmakers reportedly believed Donald Trump has spent significant political energy on issues like election integrity, immigration, foreign policy, and the SAVE Act. Those issues are so important to the voters, but some within the party reportedly fear that the economy risks becoming a secondary message totally. And that's where the strategy becomes so critical. If your strongest political advantage is the economy, should that remain your central message? Just answer me that. Now, let me know in the comments below. That's the debate describing probably the report. History gives us plenty of examples over and over again. Presidents from both parties have discovered that when inflation rises or families struggle financially, political support can weaken absolutely instantly. Economic confidence has often been one of the strongest predictor of electoral success. Now, when people feel optimistic about their future, government often benefits. They feel anxious. They look like for big change. And that's been true across decades of American politics totally. It's important to remember that Donald Trump has repeatedly defied political expectation. Many analysts have predicted his political decline before only to see him rebound. So these reports concern inside the Republican Party do not necessarily mean they will probably become reality. Politics changes quickly, as we have seen over and over every 6 months, a year. Campaigns evolve. Messages, they change constantly. Public opinion, they shift over and over again from day to another. So what matters today may not matter 6 months from now on. But still, what makes this thing so significant is where the concern is reportedly coming from. When criticisms come from political opponents, it's expected. When concerns reportedly comes from members of your own party, it naturally attracts more attention. That doesn't mean everyone agrees there. It doesn't mean the outcome is predetermined, but it does suggest that an active debate over political strategy totally. At the end of the day, this story is bigger than Donald Trump. It's about a question every political leader eventually faces when they're serving in the office. Now, what matters the most to the voters is it foreign policy, immigrations, or national security, or is it the price of the groceries, gasoline, housing, or everyday life? For many families, the answer is obvious. Daily expenses are impossible to ignore because that's how you just keep going in life. Overall, perhaps this isn't about a story about one headline or one interview or one something political disagreement here. Maybe it's a reminder of something history has shown over and over again, and things are getting repeated again, and we are just thinking again. Governments can win arguments about many different issues. But if ordinary families believe their financial lives are getting harder and harder every single day, that perception can become one of the most powerful forces in politics totally, and that can damage the country. According to this reporting, some Republican lawmakers appear to believe Donald Trump's message should return more forcefully back to the same thing when he was campaigning, to that economic reality. Whether that happens or whether it changes everything politically remains to be seen totally. But one thing is very certain. In American politics, leaders don't just compete against each other. They don't do that. They compete against everyday experiences of millions of voters. And when those voters walk in the voting booth, many won't be thinking the loudest headlines from the Washington. No, they won't be thinking that. They'll be thinking about the prices of groceries and the cost of filling their car, gas, rent, mortgage, payments, waiting at home, and whether they believe tomorrow will be a better day for them to live in a much better situation. Because throughout American history, economies have influenced elections a lot, and it changed the history a lot. Now, over time, Trump's economic message has become a story worth watching. Now, people are expecting, his own party is expecting that Donald Trump should return back to the same message what he was campaigning during the rallies. And if he does, it would be benefited for him. But if he doesn't, that would be hurting him a lot, in the sense probably in the coming election. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think where America is heading? Is it going in a good way or in a bad way? I just want to know your opinion. And for more, don't forget to subscribe for more and more breakdowns. And if you have anything, just let me know in the comments below, and I will break it down in an amazing way so you can understand something very clean and clear. Thank you. See you in the next